Welcome to No Border, No Country. We have a guest, Matt. Terry Newsome is the host of the Behind Enemy Lines podcast, and he's based out of Chicago, Illinois, and he joins us right now. Hey, Terry, how you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
So you have been very active out in Chicago with what's going on with the ICE operations and the protests against them. Tell us what you've been seeing out there.
Yeah, the city of Chicago. Everyone knows about Mayor Johnson and Pritzker. These guys and the media are going to get one of our agents killed in Chicago, right? They're enabling and emboldening these people, and all the statements. I think everyone sees what's going on in the news, right? And like Tom Holman, he spoke in an event of mine, and I remember him saying that these sanctuary cities and sanctuary state statuses, these very same liberal Democrats that are labeling themselves as sanctuary states and cities are actually hurting their own cause by not allowing his officers. He said, I could send one officer to Cook County Jail with a set of handcuffs and take a criminal legal out of Cook County Jail and put him where he belongs. But you guys refuse to allow us to do what we should do for the country. Therefore, you release these criminals into the neighborhoods. They go into the neighborhoods that you want to, quote, protect. So when we go out and get the bad guy, you're putting my agents at risk. You're putting the criminal at risk and everybody around him. Because when we go into these facilities to go get the bad guy, we're gonna, if you're there illegally, criminal or not, you're getting deported. So they could make it easier and safer for everybody, but they refuse to do so. And they're wanting these people in here to control our country, to control our elections. They open the borders on purpose because of their desperation to maintain control and power over us. And they sacrificed our children, our country, our safety, our security because of their lust for control. And we need to fight back, and organizations like yours is hopefully going to help us win out at the end.
Now, if you listen to the media, all these people are future Nobel Prize winners and valedictorians,
Yeah.
and they're just the greatest thing ever to happen to the United States. But as I understand it, you've been inside the migrant hotels and you've
Mhm.
actually talked with some of these people. So can you tell us what you saw when you went into the belly of the beast, as it were?
Yeah, sure. The first one I went into was in a little village, very big, huge Hispanic neighborhood. Matter of fact, it was a tent, which is really like a military structure behind a CVS. And I was able to get in. I got to the first metal detectors, and I couldn't speak Spanish, so I was, I'm Italian, so I looked like I was Spanish. And I got kicked out, and I got video of that. And then I got into another one. Same exact thing happened. Five guys came and got me out. And I'm like, and they had the same metal detector set up, security, and wands. And we as Americans have always been told lies by the left that these immigrants create less crime than us. These people create less crime than us, right? Well, it's not. I mean, you guys know it's not true. The illegal immigrants create more crime than us. So I was just curious. So I'm like, I've never been to a hotel. This was a nice hotel on Magnificent Mile. I've never been to a hotel where I had to go through metal detectors and wands, at least in the United States. And so I did a FOIA. And the first FOIA I got from the Inn in Chicago had like 340 police reports in 12 months, right? And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. These people don't commit crimes. Why were the police called 340 times? I went to the Standard Club, which had like 2,300 Venezuelan. And that one had 702 incident reports. You could see that in the Gateway Pundit if you search for that. 702 incident reports. And the other thing that is upsetting about that is that they have these 702 incident reports, but they're not arresting them in case, like spousal abuse and stuff. So when they talk about the crime numbers, they're full of crap, right? Especially as it relates to the illegals, because Brandon Johnson and Pritzker don't want to show this massive influx of crime, right? And these people are caught. They're caught with drugs inside their hotels that we're paying for, right? Counterfeit money. So I started doing more and digging deeper and deeper and deeper, right? I got Trend Largo. I did specifically on TDA Trend Largo, and I got tons of, murders, kicking doors down with masks on, saying we're Trent Largo with machine guns, counterfeit money. They were in Chicago going to Detroit and buying cars and bringing them back to Chicago. I mean, I have all this documentation, and I shared. I was kind of surprised it didn't get more visibility through the media and stuff, right? That I pushed out. One of the biggest crimes that these guys do, how the left is about women and women's rights. They beat the hell. The biggest crimes they do, they beat the hell out of their wives. They strangle them. They pull their hair. They hit them with. They have Obama phones. Remember the Obama phone? It's called the Vortex phone. So you can look up Vortex phone. And it was called an Obama phone, but it really started on Reagan, but it wasn't used that much. And then it was really pushed out. I think Obama spent $2.5 billion. So now when these illegals, and I got pictures of Trent Largo guy, I had a confrontation with him. He told me not to film him. He pulls out his phone and he's trying to use the translator and he's going like this. It didn't work. So he reaches in his pocket, he pulls out, and I got a picture of him holding two phones. And I go, Americano, because I don't speak Spanish. He goes, see. So he's trying to use, so he's got one phone that's his, one phone that we're paying for. He's living in the Gage Park field house using this phone that we pay for to commit crimes. So I have a number of the police reports, and the police officers put using the Vortex phone, human sex trafficking, child pornography, using WhatsApp. It talks about the website. All this stuff is out there. People have to see this stuff and understand what's going on. These people commit way more crimes than us.
So just to put that in context, like an average residential neighborhood, even in a big city like Chicago or New York or Boston, might have, 10, 15 incident reports in a month.
Yeah.
And this was 700 in what kind of time period?
About a year and 6 months. Year and 6 months.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like the total output for a small town police department somewhere in the United States for a year.
Yeah, there's got to remember there's one of 27, and they're putting these people up in hotels. Where I grew up in the Southwest Side of Holiday Inn, I had a number of confrontations with the Garda World security guards. They're out of, I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're like an international Blackwater. And it's kind of ironic that Mayor Johnson hired this lily white Canadian globalist company to provide security when he's like all about the black and brown people. Well, you know how many security guard companies are in the city of Chicago with minorities, ex-police officers? Why did he give Garda World, who, by the way, Denver, Colorado, did not sign their contract before they were going to implement this contract. There's some ties into the corruption of why they use Garda World at all these different facilities. They have a reputation of getting confrontational. I had one, the guy came out, he kept pushing me. I said, don't push me. He pushed me and he hit my phone and hit my hat. I headbutted him in the mouth. I didn't get in trouble because I was protecting myself. I had another one where the Garda World security guard, I was with a reporter from Epoch Times, 72-year-old man. We're standing by a taxi and she hits my phone twice, knocks it out of my hand. What are they aggressively trying to hide? They don't even want us to film outside the buildings. Many, many confrontations. I had one guy call me, like a whistleblower who worked at one of the facilities that had 540 illegal Venezuelans. He got $360,000 a year as the main PMO on the top of the pyramid. Then he had two project managers. They worked 12-hour shifts, $275,000. Then he had two operations guys that got $220. He sent me all the stuff on WhatsApp. And they were getting paid big money, and they were from out of state. This is a big corrupt scheme. I'm Catholic, right? I'm not a good Catholic, but I am a Catholic. And I'm embarrassed by what I found about Catholic charities. So for instance, I went to in Chicago, I brought my friend who was a cop, retired Hispanic guy, and I had him translate. And there was two Venezuelan men. And I go up and I'm like, Catholic, Italiano, just to not look confrontational. So I tell my buddy, I go, Val, ask them if the Catholic Charities is helping them here. And he translates and says yes. I go, ask him if Catholic Charities help them at the border. He translates and says yes. I go, ask him if they had to come through the cartels and pay the cartels to get here. He looks at me and then said yes. So basically, my church, Catholic Charities, is the distribution arm for the cartels, except they're not moving drugs, they're moving people. and they're getting paid to do it. I have another FOIA where you see all these emails, and I got these FOIAs. It's just crazy, right? The city of Chicago reached out to Catholic Charities and said, hey, we have a woman that wants to go back to Venezuela, and I'm probably assuming she got beat up by her husband, right? Catholic Charities, they go back and forth with a few different emails, and they say, that's not our mission. I mean, I thought their mission is to help people and help, maybe send this woman back when you're part of bringing them here. But on the other hand, if I come into Chicago and say, oh, I'd like to go to New York, they will fly me to New York. I mean, I got all this stuff in the documents. It's absurd. It's absurd. I got one. There's so much stuff for me to go through by myself, right? I got one from, I kept seeing WHO on the emails. So I finally looked this lady. I thought it was World Health Organization, and it stood for White House. And this woman you guys can search it on Gateway Pundit. They did a story on it. She is a special advisor to Joe Biden. So you heard about FEMA, right? We got information about FEMA and how they redirected funds. So this woman's telling all these people, City of Chicago and all these other NGOs, that she's got special Department of Transportation non-recoverable funds I'll give you for 18 buses to operate 24/7, called warming and cooling buses when they come in through the intake center. And they would put these Venezuelans in these buses if it's super hot or super cold, right? And a block down the street is a homeless camp, including ex-military guys, like 35 orange tents. Somebody donates to them. These men tried to get in during a cold time, and that's out on YouTube as well. They would not let them on. The bus drivers, the police officers, some of the people lost their fingers and toes. It was a deep freeze we had for like about a week. This corruption, I hope that the Trump administration really digs into this and not just, because they're so busy. They're fighting so many different fronts now. We're in a war. People don't realize we're in a war and we're losing this war. There's so many different fronts that we have to fight against. It's like, how do you balance it? And especially the other thing that we talked a little bit about, my neighborhood is full where I grew up, of Muslims, radical Muslims that don't want to assimilate to us. We've got the Muslim Brotherhood over there. There's been federal arrests there. All the signs are now Muslims. My high school has a bathroom that's not sanctioned by the school, but my friends that had kids there saying boys can't go into it. It's only Muslims. I mean, so we have so many crazy fronts that you guys are on the forefront of trying to help us, trying to help us fight against this. Another thing,
right, Terry, let me interrupt you for a sec there. With regard to the ICE operations in Chicago and these protests,
yes,
if you're the average normie sitting at home watching TV, watching establishment media, you would get this narrative that this is a completely organic thing, that just the good people of America are so sick of this alleged brutality by ICE that they're rising up to prevent this immoral action from taking place. I did not fall off the turnip truck yesterday, nor did you, so I'm highly skeptical of that narrative. In fact, I'm almost positive it's BS. What have you seen on the ground? What have you seen and heard with respect to that? Because obviously somebody's driving this, somebody's animating these people. What have you seen that is behind this?
They're absolutely paid, right? You have the professional agitators. You have Antifa. Everyone talks about Antifa, right? And sometimes it's used too loosely. You have the full-time Antifa activists like Jeremy and Jason Hammond. Those two brothers are full-time anarchists. They are the quarterbacks of the city of Chicago. They're known internationally. Jeremy was on the cover of Rolling Stones magazine. Full-time, they came after me. I lost my job after 22 years. They harassing me, my executives. I worked for a big company out of France. I can't say the name. Over and over again. First, it started about the point. These guys they're in the middle of all this. No King's protests. They're part of Anonymous. Get to 10 years in federal prison. All they do, they got signs that are made up, right? I got at the ICE Center video of a guy, like an instructor, teaching these people. He was like a professional instructor on what to wear, how to wear it. It's all out there. They got tents set up, with all the food. I got videos of 2 years ago, the FBI showed up on my porch because Antifa, they shut down the two of my parents' events I ran. They threatened to shoot the venue. They went after the owners of the venue. These guys are paid in part. If you look into the Antifa handbook, I forgot that guy's name from Rutgers University, and that's part of their MO is to come after us. If you start to get a voice, even me, just a dad that never did anything, these guys went after me. And then they had a Chicago Antifa guy write a hit piece in the Southern Poverty Law Center, like all kinds of crazy stuff, only because I was the most vocal father speaking out against. I'm not against gay people. I give a shit. They came after me aggressively, brutally, and my executives and our customers, conferences, Harvard, and eventually this February, after the story came out about me and Tom Ullman and trying to help them, they said I was a racist, I was a bigot, I was going after poor, innocent asylum seekers. 10 days later, I was laid off after 22 years.
The SPLC just loves us.
Yeah.
Asylum seekers, this is the myth that these people have all come here seeking asylum. I was an immigration judge. I heard hundreds of these cases, and virtually none of them had a valid asylum claim. So what's the story behind these people? Who are they really, and why are they coming here?
Yeah, so you guys know this better than I just kind of learned because I got thrown into the frying pan. But most of the asylum seekers, and I think like you guys have to help educate and inform people, right? Because they don't understand the process of the asylum seeker and where they're supposed to go before they get into the United States of America. So they just think everybody's an asylum seeker, right? And it's not true. They don't fit the legal definition of having to go to the first country, right? They want to come to America. That's nice. They want to come to America and have a better life. That's great. I understand that. I appreciate that. But we have rules that you have to abide to. We have borders that you have to abide to. We can't take care of our own people, our children, the schools, everything. So it'd be nice if we could, but we can't. And then they say, well, the immigration system's broke. Why? What's broke about it? You want more people? Too bad. You got to wait, just like my grandparents and other people. You got to wait to get in here. And then they say, oh, well, these poor asylum seekers or these people that come in here, and ICE is arresting people that haven't created any violent crimes. So what? That's not the criteria to stay in the United States of America. If you want to come to the United States of America and then you think everybody that gets let off the hook because they didn't commit a crime when they got here, we would really be flooded. You got to set an example. Right? These people are coming in and they're holding their hands out. My grandparents, and on the Polish side too, each generation worked hard and did better until eventually, me and my cousins did really, really well. These people come in and they insist on what they want. I got another guy that was managing a shelter. They were throwing out half the food because they didn't like it. They wouldn't drink all the bottles. I mean, he kept a spreadsheet. And then they got Bono Beef, got a $50 million contract, another corruption through the city of Chicago, to give the Venezuelans Bono Beef sandwiches because they like that. I swear to God, it's out. You could Google search it. It's Chicago Bono Beef.
Terry, we got some clips of activities that you've seen on the ground there in Chicago. Let's play some of this, and I'd like to get your comment on it.
Sure.
Save your soul and quit your job. Save your soul and quit your job. Love your neighbor, love your God. Love your neighbor, love your God. We are next to die. You guys have to do something.
What was Governor Pritzker's order?
Does it feel good to be a sheep? How do you look yourself in the mirror every night? How do you go to sleep at night? How do you face anyone in your fucking life that you're betraying?
So, Terry, they're saying save your soul and quit your job to these ICE agents.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Again, the average person who's uninformed might hear that and say, oh, they're doing immoral things. That's why they're saying this. How about the people they're arresting? How about the people that are trafficking children and women and dealing drugs and part of Tren de Aragua, like you mentioned? It's a very one-sided thing, and I think it speaks to how brainwashed a lot of these shock troops on the ground are.
Yeah. My personal belief is the media is more dangerous than the Democrats. I mean, they're enabling all this stuff and brainwashing and controlling the narrative. And we need shows like ours to go out and expose it so people understand, because you can see they get pummeled with all this, poor, lies and deceit. I mean, so much stuff that they're lying about. These guys, most of them are criminals. And even if they're not criminal, they're in our country. They're illegal. They shouldn't be here in the first place, right? Those officers there actually were state of Illinois police, which I was shocked, right? First of all, the ICE agents had to protect their perimeter in the Broadview ICE facility, which is the Chicago ICE facility. And it was in a really bad location because of the way it was set up in the buildings. I felt, it was a bad location because you had the protesters, got Antifa wannabes, whack jobs, and leftists, all coordinated and organized, right? Those guys in the green hats, they're from the National Lawyers Guild. I don't know if you're familiar. You ever came across them?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, so, and we could tell when there's going to be the level of violence, right? Based on how many green hats were there, right? The more you like, something's going to happen, and they won't even talk to us. So I was being a smart ass filming, I was filming over what they were writing, and they're writing down the officers' names and stuff. They're there specifically to protect the criminals, to provide legal advice and attorneys. There, one time I was on the other side of the facility. I think you guys have that when they were yelling, "Shoot ICE, kill ICE." There's, Antifa and their umbrellas and stuff, and the ICE officers were shooting the pepper balls. And then on my way out, I went to the north side of the facility, and there was people against the fencing barrier there yelling and screaming. And 2 ICE agents were bringing a guy handcuffed, which I didn't know it was illegal or a protester at the time. And they shot pepper balls at the protesters. And then when the pepper balls cleared, I walked up next to a guy with a green hat, and he's yelling at the ICE agents, right? And then the ICE agent yells back, he had a gun on him. And then the green hat says, "Don't worry, we have an attorney for you." So remember, this guy was arrested when they're saying shoot ICE, got caught with a 9mm. I later found out it was a 9mm. It was an illegal. It wasn't illegal. It was a protester with the 9mm. I guess a couple other ones were caught with guns there. And the Hammond brothers were caught there. Those two brothers I mentioned to you about before, they got there really early. They have huge rap sheets. These guys, right? I mean, they're responsible for vandalism, violent, crazy stuff all over every event, including my Columbus Day statue that I helped the older Italians try to get back. They show up. They try to intimidate, scare, harass our side. They don't want, our people are scared, actually. I think that, especially depending on where you are in the city of Chicago. They show up and they coordinate these other people. Those are the full-time paid activists, without a doubt. So now that they're designated a terror organization, I hope that we're able to track the money. I'll bet you they are going to. You know why? Because these guys are like drug addicts, scumbags, low-life outcasts, right? And I don't think they're sharp enough, because they kind of got lax because they never got in trouble before, that there's going to be a money trail, Judge. I think there's going to be a money trail, that they're going to make some mistakes that's going to lead us up the food chain to who's responsible for giving these low-life scumbags money, to come out and try to destroy our country. And we're all, as you know, we're all fascist, right? Or racist or homophobe, just because we don't want open borders or we don't want porn in our children's libraries.
Another thing I wanted to mention, we talked about this last time, Matt. Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago, who everyone thought was the worst mayor in the history of the city until Brandon Johnson came along. He's set the bar even higher, but she's announced this PAC she's starting, or this group that's going to be all about identifying ICE agents who are involved in these operations. And it seems like it's just a matter of time until one of these agents or their families have their lives deleted by these zombies on the street. And is there any doubt that these activists are going to celebrate when that happens, rather than be ashamed or face prosecution or anything?
Appear to be any doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I got an example for you right now. I have a friend, ICE agent, and actually we're supposed to go meet other agents for drinks from my old neighborhood. And he's got 4 children, just had a baby. His 4th child, and they were closing on a house all at the same time. And these scumbags doxed him big time. And he's a Hispanic guy, so that makes him even worse of a guy to them, right? And they've got his new address on the house he was closing. He's in a different house now. And then as a matter of fact, before I got in the show, he sent me a video, and I'm like, "Is this your house now?" It's a new house, of somebody pulled up with a sign and yelling, screaming. He's in his garage. I'm assuming it's him, right? And he's in his garage filming. He's like, I don't want to say the suburb. He goes, but I'm in a suburb where the police respect other law enforcement officials. So this is going on right now with a guy that I know personally. So I really believe somebody's going to get killed. From our officers is going to get killed or hurt or wounded really badly because of this. And I think they think they're emboldened. They do, like these Antifa guys and stuff, right, in the city of Chicago, they get let out, special treatment. You look at their, it's like, why the hell are they not in jail within the city limits or Cook County, right? They control all that.
So how many of these protesters, I realize they're paid and they're from radical groups. How many of them are actually from Chicago? Because we've done a couple of podcasts with Pastor David Lowry.
I know David.
Well, so he had some great footage that we looked at with him of people from minority neighborhoods in Chicago saying, "Hey, you're killing us. You're forcing all these migrants on us when you don't have money to give us the services that our taxes paid for." And so I get the impression that those are the real Chicagoans that are speaking out about this and that have an issue, and that most of these people involved in the protests have been bussed in from elsewhere.
Yeah. So yes, a lot of people are busted from different parts of the city of Chicago that they round up. You got to remember the unions, the teachers unions. I used to be a motion picture studio mechanic in that union and Screen Actors Guild back in the day, and we would get emails. Hey, let's show up here. You know what I mean? So think about all the unions in this corrupt city of Chicago. And honestly, my friends, where I grew up in the Southwest side, the union members are on our side. It's the corrupt union leaders that are getting the money, the pay, kickbacks, the power and the control, and their money is being spent without the guys are scared to push back, right? Because they're in the union.
So Terry, we're almost out of time. Give a plug for your podcast. Tell people where they can follow you and see what you're up to.
Yeah, you can follow me at Terry Newsome 357, TerryNewsome 357. I'm being shadow banned now. I haven't, but please try to follow me there. Also on YouTube, Behind Enemy Lines, Rumble, Behind Enemy Lines, and on Getter, Terry Newsome.
Thank you.
You're doing great work, guys. Man. Keep it up.
I'm glad I found you guys, man.
All right, well, come back. Let us know what's going on there on the ground.
Yeah, I want to have you guys on my show too. All right.
Awesome.
Very good.
Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Have a good one.